Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Managing Real-Time Customer Profiles with Adobe Experience Platform. This is a 2-hour session structured with lectures and demo to showcase the features and add-on services associated with the platform. My name is Ademola Olatiju, and I'm a senior technical instructor with the Adobe Learning Digital Services. I have been with Adobe for about 4 years now, and I have a total of about 30 years in academia and software engineering. I really love numbers and also enjoy trying to gain insight into the emerging patterns with the numbers for effective decision making. Over the weekend, I like winding down with friends and families to enjoy a good sense of life. And usually I'm very reflective and listen to people and try to make any impact I can with everybody around me. So now let's think about brand engagement in the digital landscape generally, and typically what are the problems that we identify within the landscape. Every brand that categorizes itself as an experience brand would love to provide impactful experience for every customer that interacts with their brand in order to accommodate all preferences and differences in the way they interact with their brand, whether they are coming with through a website, a mobile app, or through different devices of any kind. So when you provide customers or visitors with the opportunities to use different channels to interact with your brand and all use different devices, what that results into is a collection of data silos. And with that data silos, it's very difficult to identify the specific visitor or a particular customer so you can know a little bit more about them and provide better services in terms of what they will need and what they will want to have in the future. So how can Adobe help with this? In this session, we will explore the core features of Adobe Experience Platform and any add-on services that are added onto the platform in order to try to find out how data can be ingested from both Adobe and non-Adobe data sources into the repository of the platform. How do you standardize that profile information to create a 360-degree view of the profile for effective customer engagements? And how do you actually secure access to that data and also control what the data can be used for? It's not sufficient for you to do that. We are also going to explore the patterns that emerge with the customers interacting with your brand and what they are doing and what we can do to help them to be effective customers and consume our product and services. Finally, we will try to create segments that we will eventually activate as an audience to allow us to execute specific marketing actions of our choice. So the objectives overall for this session will be that at the end of the session, participants will be able to understand the process of standardization that we actually provide through the use of the experience data models, schemas, data profiles, and data store. We will also try to explain to you the method by which data can be ingested into the platform and how do you control access to the data that have been ingested, and how do you also ensure that the data is only used for the purposes for which it is meant for. We will then also explain to you that you should be able to explain the segmentation process in the platform and eventually how specifically you can use the destinations that are provided through the subscription to the real-time customer data application service in data management, and know how to use segmentation and also activate the profile fragment for specific marketing actions of your choice. What is the agenda for the program? We have 3 parts of it. First, why manage customer profile with the Experience Platform? In this area, we are going to examine the core features and any add-on features that are included within the platform. We will look at the services that are powered by the platform, and eventually we will take a look at the reference architecture for managing data when you intend to onboard your data, and how to manage it and how to export it for specific use. The second part will actually concentrate on customer profiles with Experience Platform, starting with the process of standardization of your data, which are consolidated from both Adobe and non-Adobe sources, and what are the repositories that are available within the platform. And if you ingest data, how do we find out whether the data made it into the platform and what you can use that data for? So we will explore the data ingestion methods, the batch ingestion, the source connectors, as well as the streaming ingestion method via the UI, but it could also be done through an API approach. Once the data has been verified to be available within the repositories of your choice, then we have to then begin the process of securing the data and guaranteeing that the data can only be used for the purposes for which we have an agreement with the customers whose information you are capturing. Finally, we will go through the process of creating segments, and qualifying profile fragments will then be activated as audiences on a destination through the real-time CDP application services that are added on. Finally, we will talk about what is next after this session. What resources do you need to be able to interact with the platform successfully, and what other learning programs that are available for you after you have finished with this program. What is the difficulty level for this program? We categorize this as an intermediate. So we don't expect you to know a whole lot before you come here, but at least you would have interacted with the platform in one way or the other through your own subscription services. And you might have attended some getting started class or have done some on demand. So it's at an intermediate level at this point in time. So let's start with the first part of the session, which is why do we have to manage customer profiles with the Experience Platform? The platform is an open data platform that allows you to consolidate and aggregate all your sources of data, whether it's Adobe or non-Adobe. And by so doing, you are able to ingest it into the platform to create a single consistent 360-degree view of the profile that is devoid of any potential duplicate. So that is one major benefit of managing your platform with the managing your data with the platform. Not only are you able to standardize and create a single consistent 360-degree view of your customer profile, it gives you the opportunity to also do some personalization, because now you have one source of truth that you can use for any activities of your type. Once the data has been ingested in the appropriate repository managed by the platform, it is also the responsibility of the provider of that service to ensure that the accessibility to the data, as well as what the data can be used, complies with rules and regulations. So that is important as part of it. So, and that it's also a feature that is provided through the platform. Not only are you able to secure and control accessibility and use of the data, you could also use a feature bundle within the platform called the query service to gain insight by querying the behavioral data as well as the profile information that is interacting with your brand. You also have the ability to make some predictive modeling, which is also one other feature that is included. Lastly, you have the ability to create segments, which is a collection of profile fragments with similar traits and characteristics that you can then activate as an audience in real time for specific marketing action of your choice. So let's look at the broad spectrum of how data is managed through the platform. When you think about the managing data and what you can use the data for, there are three different parts of it. First, the sources of the data. Adobe Experience Platform support both Adobe and non-Adobe sources. And where we do not have a source connector, we will provide you with an intermediary way by which you can bring in the data. So we support a large ecosystem of Adobe and non-Adobe data party sources. Secondly, when we are able to decide on the method of ingestion and we want to be able to standardize the data into the platform, we can actually use the Experience Data Model System to create schemas. And those schemas will then be used to create your data sets, which is an equivalent of a table. And that table allows you to ingest data from multiple data sources, and using the identity fields and any merge policies to resolve any conflict, you are able to create a single unified customer profile view in the platform. With that, you also set up the control in terms of accessibility and use of the data at the data set level, or you set the control at the field level. Finally, you do also have the ability to determine what marketing actions you can use the data for when you are intending to export it. Now, for you to do that, you need to create a segment, which is a collection of profile fragments with the similar characteristics and behavior. It could be a profile, it could be associated with an event, and the collection then can be activated as an audience across channels and devices. Now, to be able to ingest data into the platform comes bundled with a collection of services that we refer to as data collection service. And through that medium, we are able to decide on how the data can be ingested. Data can come from one or more sources and could be ingested into the same repository. But in the process, we had to make sure that there are no duplicates. And so as part of the standardization process, which involved the creation of schemas, you will create a set of fields that you can classify as identity fields. And so with the identity fields, you are able to then synchronize and consolidate data from multiple sources to create one single view, irrespective of the channel or devices with which you are trying to ingest the data. Finally, you also have the ability to say that not only am I able to ingest the data into the platform, I'm also able to set the rules and regulations that binds the use of the data while it is in the repository, and how the data can also be used when I'm exporting my profile fragment that qualifies as a segment in an audience list. Once the data is available within the platform, then the next thing you have to think about is how will I be able to identify any potential patterns, whether good or bad? Because as an experienced brand, you want to find a way you will consistently deliver to your existing customers, and the way by which you can also retain them and do an upsell or cross-sell. You also want opportunity to now convert visitors to customers, so you can grow your customer base. And so in doing that, the platform provides you to two ways by which you can gain insight. One is generating reports through the query services, which can be done across multiple data sets. So you can actually use a visualization tool of your choice to be able to build a dashboard to find out what's going on with the data. There's also a more complex insight analysis that can be done using predictive modeling tool called the data science workspace, that is powered by the artificial intelligence and machine learning tools, to be able to score, to be able to evaluate, and be able to make some recommendations for future engagement of their customers when they want to interact with your brand. Lastly, you are able to create segments that you can define with rules and activate them as audiences, so you can use them for specific marketing actions of your choice. Now, these are all core features bundled into the platform. We know that there are more that is required of us. So as part of the activities of the Adobe, we've also created a collection of service tools that can be added on as a subscription level based on a use case. And out of the box, we have created two categories of services. One called the application services. These are more of marketer level tools that allows you as a marketer to actually resolve or enhance your experience using the platform at the core features and adding on this application services tool. There are four of them. One is the real-time customer data platform, which is the focus for this training. The second one is the journey orchestration, which provides for one-on-one event-driven journey for every customers and can support both Adobe marketing action tools or a third-party action tool. The third one is the customer journey analytics, which is also an add-on service that allows you to gain insight and create a dashboard and reports that you can share with stakeholders so you can actually find out what's going on with your customers when they register or visitors and what patterns you are seeing from there. Finally, it also comes with a decision management tool to create offers that you can either suppress or present to potential customers. We are going to talk about the real-time customer data platform, which is the focus of this session, and that's what we want to deal with. Now, the platform does not come just on its own. It could integrate with existing Experience Cloud applications. Most of the customers that subscribe to the platform may have one or more of the Experience Cloud applications. So what this stack shows is that at the heart of your Experience Cloud is the platform, which is your open data platform with its services. On top of that, we've also included service categories. One of the application services that I mentioned, which has the four tools for marketer level, and there's also the intelligence services, which is also another category of services that you could also subscribe to. But any one of these Experience Cloud applications could serve as a source of data that can be ingested into the platform, or they could also be a destination to consume the data that you export through activation of segments as audiences for specific use. Behind the scene, for you to interact with any of the Experience Cloud stack, you have to be added on with specific permissions. So administrators will have to add you through either an API or through an admin console and give you accessibility to any one of the tools, including the Experience Platform tool. Overall, when you think about the implementation of the Experience Platform to manage your data from end to end, there are three aspects to it. What are my data sources? And how do I ingest the data into the platform? When I ingest the data into the platform, how do I verify that the data is available? And what can I get in terms of an insight? So if you look at the middle of the screen, it shows you that there is the data lake as one of the repository. Depending on the method of data ingestion, your data can first come into the data lake, and it will then be replicated into the unified customer profile. If you are doing a streaming or real-time ingestion of data, your data goes first to the unified customer profile data store, and then it will be micro-batched into the data lake. So depending on what you want, you are able to do that. But when you are going to create segments and you want to use those segments for activation as audiences on a specific channel, the segments are created on the unified customer profile repository, not on the data lake. So you need to actually then think about it through the design process. Do I want to use a profile fragment as part of my segment? And if the answer is yes, then when you create a schema, you want to enable the schema for profile, and you also want to enable the data set for profile. And you only create segments on unified customer profile data store. Once the data has been created and activated through a particular channel, in this case is a real-time CDP that we are going to focus on, you will then decide how you're going to export the audiences that qualifies in a segment and how you can use them. So this shows you the three major parts of the whole thing.